Hey everybody, sorry. I was literally like looking myself in the thing because Mary was like, Ken, I'm gonna go live now, but your face looks cut off in the preview. Will you? And literally I was like, how does my face? And then she went live. I mean, if that isn't a producer, I feel like it was a practical joke. She was like, your face look, go. I'm on. We're live. How are you, everybody? Welcome to the Producer's Perspective Live. This is day something. I don't know. It is Thursday. I do know that. I literally was like, I'm not going on tonight without staring at a calendar. I have a monitor over here, by the way. That's what I'm looking at. Staring at a calendar, knowing what day it is before I go live with all of you lovely folks. How is everybody today? I'm looking over at the comments over here, too. That's why I sometimes drift over here just to explain why I may have host ADD. I do not. I actually am looking. We got people from Astoria in the house. Jenny from Silicon Valley, where the sun shines every day. You know, Jenny, that just makes me want to say something not very nice to you. Not very nice. Just kidding. It is beautiful out there. I've been there many, many times. Had some really cool meetings with some tech folk out there and how we involve the theater more. Boston in the house. Boston. Way to go, Charlotte. The Sox will be playing again soon. So welcome to the Producer's Perspective Live. Fantastic guest tonight. Another great actor. Gideon Glick is with us this evening. Mary has some pictures. Look at that. We're adding new features every day. Every day. That was To Kill a Mockingbird. That was Little Shop. That was Is Significant Other. And Lindsay Mendez, Tony Award winner from our Godspell cast. We're going to start throwing some more multimedia in there every night. I mean, why not? We're getting better. We're going to be here a while. Gideon's going to be here and tell us all about what he's up to, how he's dealing with this, and some very, very good and important work he's doing for the healthcare workers. So we'll get to that in a few seconds. If you're a New York resident, you heard the big news today. Big news, Governor Cuomo said, we're not going anywhere for a while. And we knew this was going to happen. So he extended the social distancing rules requirements until May 15th. So we're stuck inside, no businesses open, none of that stuff until at least May 15th. He's forcing us all to wear masks. What that all means is you get me until May 15th. I'm going to be here until May 15th, trying to entertain you and keep you busy at 8 o'clock. So stick with us. But he also said that things are working. That's why we're keeping us like this. We got another 30 days of it. 30 days, round number. You know what that means. Great time for a challenge. We've already been here a month. I've done this before. I'm going to issue it again. This is we have this great free tool for people with ideas for scripts. If you've ever thought about writing a script, if you've ever thought about writing a screenplay, anything, this tool, the 30-day script challenge, Mary's going to throw the link in the comments because the link is not on here. It's a marketing boo-boo. This 30-day script challenge of ours is, there it is, it just gets people to churn out scripts. We just designed it. It was designed to take an idea, crunch it through daily reminders and all sorts of things, tracking your progress, and you'll have a script. Oh, look, Charlotte did it last year. It's an amazing challenge. Did it last year. Look at that. It works. And she's from Boston. Try it. You have nothing to lose. Or as I said on a webinar later, if you do nothing, nothing will happen. If you do something, anything can happen. Really. If you do nothing with that idea of yours, I can guarantee you what's going to happen. Nada. If you do something like a 30-day script challenge or anything like it, who knows what will happen? Who knows? Why not? Just do it. Just give it a shot. It does not hurt. Nothing to lose. Someone's starting it for their new musical. Thank you. Don't forget, we're also here for the Actors Fund. The Actors Fund. We're not only here to entertain, we're here to raise money for the Actors Fund. So go ahead and give them a little cash. Throw something in there, especially now as things are getting even tighter. The claims are really coming in now. They got to raise like $20 million by the middle of May. We're going to help them every dollar at a time. Click, 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 click on that tip jar and give them something. If you can. Sorry, I just skipped like a record there. Okay, are we ready? Shall we bring on our guest for this evening? Someone give me a hell yes. Throw it in the comments. Somebody. Wait for it. Wait for it. Hell yes. Hell yes. Somebody? No? No one wants to swear? Okay, well, we're going to bring him on anyway. Please welcome to the live stream, Mr. Gideon Glick. Welcome, Gideon.
How's it going?
Great. How are you?
I'm all right. Just taking it day by day.
Oh, good. Oh, we got our. Oh, they're rolling in now.
Really coming in.
I'm gonna blame it on an internet lag. We're just gonna blame that rather than people being like, "Ken, your jokes and intros are very boring, and we're not even listening." Of course, you're on now, so everyone's like, "Yes, let's talk about it." So, how are you doing through all this? Tell me.
I'm good. I've been staying busy, which has been nice. Yeah, I wanted to actually talk about this organization that I started with Celia, so I wanted to talk about that. I'll just run into that now.
Please. This is like everyone's been coming up with like projects or like very productive, creative people like yourself. Everyone's been coming up with something to do. You've of course put yours to really good work. So tell us what you're doing.
Yeah. So essentially, so my husband is a doctor. He works at Sloan Kettering, which is a cancer hospital on the east side. And he was working on he works on COVID floors at Memorial Sloan Kettering. So there are people with cancer and COVID. So it's pretty bad. And my friend Celia Keenan-Bolger, who I did To Kill a Mockingbird with, was very concerned for him and his well-being. And also we separated for a little while physically. I moved into another apartment just to reduce the risk of infection. But he felt that Sloan isn't as bad as for instance, Bellevue Hospital and Elmhurst. And we have friends who are hospital workers who are getting hit really bad at their hospitals. And Celia wanted to start a meal train for Perry and his staff members to kind of support him. And Perry said, "No, I don't think we need it. I have friends who are working at hospitals with much little resources, and I think they could really use it." And so that's kind of what started this whole organization. So we Victoria Myers, who was the editor of The Interval magazine, we all kind of combined forces, and we raised over $100,000 in 1 week, which is pretty incredible. It's called Broadway Feeds Bellevue, and it's about the Broadway community coming together to raise money to basically virtually sponsor these meals that are feeding the hospital workers every day. And that's not just doctors, but it's environmental staff too. So these are the people in charge of sanitation, so sanitizing the rooms and doing janitorial duties. And we're feeding about 105 people a night. And I think on Tuesday we start adding more departments. It's been growing and growing, which is why we need to raise more and more money. But people are so grateful to have this, and it's such a boon and a balm to them right now because they are overloaded and they don't really have time to think about feeding themselves.
This is what I love about our community and what I love about people like you. Like, again, everyone, something like this happens and there are two things you can do: sit on your couch and eat a lot of chocolate chip cookies and just say like,
you could do that too. You could do the organization and eat chocolate chip cookies.
I have some cooling right now. And I'm going to watch an episode of Tiger King afterwards. But the first thing I'm going to do is something like this. So, you go through, you process, you do all this stuff, but then people like you go like, I can't just sit still. I'm going to do something. You get this idea, you talk to peers, and then, but here's the thing. A lot of people have great ideas, like a lot of people, but a very few amount of people actually do something about it. So what was the thing that got you to go like, oh, or what did you do first when you were like, this is a great idea? Have you started a charity before?
No, nothing like this ever. I mean, the germ was from Celia. Celia wanted to do something, and she thought, okay, let's start a meal train, and that's how it started. And in a weird way, it was actually quite easy. It was, I want to do this thing, so let's figure out how to do it, and then we did it. And I would say what's interesting, I've been manning the deliveries every day, which has been hard because I'm orchestrating 4 different restaurants and they have to deliver to Bellevue, and there's a command center that has to deliver each different department. And it's a big public hospital, so it's very easy for things to go awry. And at first, especially when I was calling the restaurants, and it was very nascent at that point, and I'd never done anything like this before. And I was very nervous even like picking up the phone to call them because I had no idea what I was doing. And halfway through my first pitch, I was like, I'm sorry, I'm actually confused about what I'm talking about. I said, let me call you back, and I gotta figure something out. And because at first we were actually going to do, people were going to, basically you could sign up. Like a regular meal train basically means that you sign up and you deliver a meal to a person every day. So Joe B signs up for Tuesday, Alice C signs up for Wednesday. And I was in the beginning, we thought, okay, so different people will call in every day to order the food. And that just sounded like chaos and mayhem, which is why we realized very quickly into calling these restaurants, which is why I was like, I have to get off the phone because I haven't thought this through, was, okay, I think we have to scale back and have it be a kind of a virtual meal train, or like a spiritual meal train. So people are really giving money, and then we are the ones orchestrating all the deliveries. But what I realized very quickly was we're all making this up as we go along. The restaurants included. We're in a unprecedented time. Nobody knows what's happening and how to deal with it. Everything is uncertain, and everyone is grateful to be doing something, especially if it's for a good cause. And that kind of took off the pressure of having to know what the answers were, because we were figuring it out as we went along with the restaurants as well. And so,
and you're buying some of this food, right? You're paying the restaurants for some money, or you're like,
we're purchasing all the food. Yes,
yeah.
that was part of the initiative too, to feed the hospital workers, but also to keep the neighborhood alive, especially around Bellevue. But it's gotten larger in terms of where the restaurants are. But I read a stat today that I think it's 4 out of 5 or 3 out of 4 restaurants think they're going to close now, or are uncertain if they will stay open. So this is a way for us to give back to our community, not only the hospital workers, but also the neighborhood. And I also was really interested, and Celia, we were all very interested in a way that Broadway could give back beyond Broadway, beyond helping ourselves, which we do need help, obviously. And it's incredible that we're doing all these organizations with the Actors Fund and Broadway Cares, but a way to kind of take the community and focus it just more outward.
Yeah, I love initiatives like this, because there are two sides to this equation that you're helping. You're, of course, helping the health workers, but at the same time, you're putting money into the economy, into businesses that really need it, which will help us all. It's fantastic work. And the health workers must be so appreciative of this stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have a lot of contact with them, especially our friend, because we had a friend at Bellevue, and that's kind of what started it. And because she was the one that said, we said, what can we do? And she said, especially on night shifts where they're working 12-hour shifts that start at 7 o'clock, they said, we're hungry and we're tired, and food actually really helps. And so we've been talking to them, and they've been just so appreciative, sending pictures of themselves with the food. It's wonderful, and it's a nice way to keep my own anxiety at bay by doing something. And also it feels like I'm combining my Broadway community with my home community, which is the medical world, because my husband's a doctor.
I love it. Yeah, it's like doing, there's so little we can control right now, especially when you're a performer, right? You're like, and doing something like this gives you something to control, gives you something to wake up to and do every day, which just lessens anxiety and does some really good work in the world.
Yeah.
So we'll get back to that in a second, because I want to make sure we give that another big shout out. Were you doing anything? Were you in the midst of projects? Anything get interrupted?
Yeah, so I was in the midst of shooting a TV show and also doing Little Shop of Horrors at the West Side Theater. So I was doing those simultaneously. I had shot most of my coverage for the TV show. I think I only had a couple more days left, so I'm lucky in that sense. And I was also in the last week of Little Shop. Jeremy Jordan was going to come in the week after. So in a strange way, I was lucky that it happened at that time, because everything was about to end anyways. But I had those two projects, and I had a movie that was I was going to shoot in April, May, and that's just indefinitely postponed.
And that must have been a big bummer, all those things that are coming to.
Yeah, it's a bummer, but we're all in the same boat. So in in a strange way, I can't feel any worse for myself than, oh, well, thank you, Dennis.
Oh, look at that.
I can't feel any worse for myself than anybody else. I mean, we're all in the same boat. Some worse than others in terms of, or if we're just going to say the theater community, you know, we're the playing field has been leveled in a strange way.
It's so true. Like, obviously, there's a whole group of people that are dealing with the health crisis of this on a level that I can't even imagine. But everyone else, it's like, I don't see anyone going like, oh, woe is me, I lost a gig, or oh, woe is me. Everyone's like, huh, yeah, I lost my paycheck. This is happening. I'm as a business owner, everyone I talk to is like, hey, how'd your loan application go? Like, we're all just like, yeah, we're giving it a shot. We're trying to get it.
It's I mean, it's humbling in a strange way, just because there's no such thing as competition anymore. We're all just in the same boat.
We're just human beings.
Yeah.
Which is hopefully something that will come from this, is that we'll all treat each other like a little more like just human beings rather than classes or occupations or any of that stuff.
Yeah, and I hope also the idea of essential workers kind of changes the way we engage with we say low skill or unskilled labor or low wage. I mean, they should be high wage, but so low, but there are these pejorative terms for people that we realize, oh, these are essential workers, essential to society, essential to the way we exist. And thus maybe more respect should be paid for them coming forward, because it's again, it's humbling.
Here's my big prediction on that is, I think obviously tips for delivery people in this pandemic have gone up.
Oh yeah,
and they're going to stay up. Like, you're all of a sudden everyone's going to be tipping about 20% more. I think, at least, just to say thank you for getting me.
I mean, we're doing that. We rely on Fresh Direct, and it's almost like a third of our orders going just to delivery men, and it's what it should be. And also like we're fortunate enough that we have the cash to be able to do that, and we should. Our expenses have decreased like twofold because we're stuck inside.
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy. What do you have? Do you have any gigs lined up for after this, or things like?
I mean, I got to finish the TV show, and then that's a TV show on Comedy Central called The Other Two. So I've been, I have a recurring role on that on the second season. I have no idea when we'll start up again, and I have no idea when it will come out. And then I have that movie, but I have no idea when that will be.
And were you in the middle of performances for Little Shop when it shut down? So where were you when you got the call and were like, or did you know from your husband? Did you know before other people?
I was sort of the alarmist of the dressing room. The beautiful thing about the West Side Theater is all the men and women. There's a male dressing room and a female dressing room. So we're all tightly knit, and I was kind of the Cassandra of the group, being like, weeks before Rockland County got hit, saying, oh, I don't think this is good. This is not good. And as we got closer and closer, I was getting revved up, especially because of my husband. And people in the beginning were a little like, okay, Gideon, just calm down. And then it was Wednesday when the New York Times, the Wednesday of the week of the shutdown, we shut down on a Thursday. And Wednesday is when the New York Times article came out about the ushers. And at that point, I thought we were going to shut down that night, and I was shocked that we didn't. So that final performance, we were all aware that it was, we kind of subconsciously knew it was going to be it, even though we didn't understand totally what was going to happen the next day. But it felt like we were performing during the fall of Rome in a strange way. We were really amped up. The audience was really amped up, and it felt like bizarrely a final performance. And so then the next day, obviously Broadway shut down, and because we were off Broadway, we had to wait a little bit longer to hear if we were going on that night. But there was no way we were going to go on that night. So
this is pandemic related question. It certainly applies to that situation, but just in general. So you have something going on outside of your performance, right? That is occupying a lot of your mind. How do you get through the show that night? Do you block it out? And you actually Seymour's on a lot, right? So it's not like you have tons of offstage time, but what do you do to keep yourself focused on delivering a performance that's...
I mean, first of all, for musicals, I'm an utter wreck going on because I'm so nervous to sing in front of people. Oh yeah, I mean, I hadn't done a musical in like 8 years because I'm so nervous doing it. So for me, it's always just, can I get through the show? And so, in a weird way, it was a strange blessing that because I had to get through it, and so I wasn't really thinking about it. But there was also a sense of throwing caution to the wind because we were all so amped up, being like, what is going on? So in a strange way, we were more alive. That show actually was always alive because of that cast, of that extraordinary cast, but it was even more alive than it ever been before. We were all there was like kind of like anvils and stars in our eyes in a strange way. And so it takes care of itself. We weren't like up there. You have to put on a show. You got to do your job. And there's an audience, and they were laughing, and the energy was amazing. And then you deal with it later.
When you come back, so there's all this discussion about how Broadway will come back and off-Broadway come back, and when's too soon. And then the latest thing is like, well, what if we reduce the capacities of the theater and made people sit seats apart? Do you think that's a good idea or not from your perspective as a performer? You're like, I'm going out there, you look out and it's like person, gap, 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 person. Like,
I mean, I think the model is, to be honest, I'm not even looking at it from a performer's perspective. I know that in Harry Potter in Toronto, they're not coming back till 2021. And I personally, I think that's more realistic.
Cassandra is back in action.
What'd you say?
Cassandra is back in action.
Sorry, guys. I could be wrong. I think the theater model it's an expensive. Seats are expensive, and so I think people are very afraid to go into to sit down. I'm sorry, you're a producer. You're not gonna like to hear this. To go sit in an audience right now, and I think not only are they afraid, but I don't think they're going to want to pay so much money to do it. And I don't know if theater can sustain itself without those prices. So that's for me where I have no idea when this is going to jumpstart. And also we're a tourism based industry, especially in New York. And so I'm very uncertain.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I actually was obviously other areas of the country haven't been as affected as New York. So strangely, I think the touring industry may come back first. I think tours may start to get out there. And the other thing is actually, I'm not a fan of the reduced capacity with gaps because I think people will then be taken out of the experience, right? Like people love, the whole point of theater is going, you love being in a sold out house, you can't get a ticket. You're going to be looking to your right and just be reminded, and that's going to affect your watching the performance. You're not going to, and God forbid someone coughs at a quiet moment in the show.
Yeah. No, it's true. I don't think until there's a vaccine will there be some sort of normalcy in terms of congregating in cramped spaces like that. I don't know. And I agree with you. I think when there are gaps and the audience informs each other of their own experience. They're laughing and they're crying or they're applauding, and that's kind of the beautiful synergy of it. And if it's sparse, you're not going to get that momentum rolling. So what do you have?
Yeah. Let's go to it. We have a few questions here. Sean Rose just asked where you went to school, where you got your training to be the performer that you are.
So I never trained. I moved to New York my senior year of high school to do Spring Awakening, and I finished high school doing that off Broadway, and then I did Spring Awakening for a year on Broadway, and then I left to go do a play called Speech and Debate at the Roundabout. It was the inaugural the Underground. And then I went to college and majored in art history. I've taken classes here and there at different studios and so forth to kind of fine tune things, but I never went to a conservatory in any way.
So how did you get discovered for Spring Awakening?
Well, I was a kid actor. I say that with a. I grew up doing theater in Philadelphia. Philly has a pretty rich theater scene, and so I think my first professional play, well, I was 11 years old, and so I just kept doing it, and then got representation, and that's kind of how the ball started rolling.
So you obviously, it sounds like you got actually a lot of training just on the boards themselves from a very young age.
Yeah, and I feel that still now. I kind of think of a work in progress the whole way through. So the more I do, hopefully the better I get, or the more I can switch it up and evolve and shift.
I just love that you get nervous going on stage still.
Right.
Now that I know you're
being on this camera right now.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a nervous
guy. Wayne Stafford. Well, listen, this won't make you nervous at all. Can we put you on the spot and have you sing something for us?
Oh no, I cannot. Absolutely not. But I appreciate you wanting that. No way.
No, I would never. Even if you were like, okay, I'd be like, no, because I could see this. Tell everyone where we're going to put that link up again. Tell everyone where they can go to support you and Celia and everyone for Broadway Feeds Bellevue.
Yes, it's called BroadwayFeedsBellevue.org. You can see it right down there. You can see it. I think our Twitter is actually at BWay for Bellevue. And what I will say again about Broadway Feeds Bellevue is I am so bowled over that we were able to raise that money so quickly, and that is such a testament to the community. And the community really is a real thing. And right now we're trying to start another sort of sub-movement where shows, and it started, Jagged Little Pill's already done it, Mean Girls has already done it, where it says Jagged Little Pill feeds Broadway, and Mean Girls feeds Broadway, and you can see on the donations when they do that. So you can feel that as, again, it's reinforcing the community that you can do something, and you can support these fearless frontline workers who didn't sign up for this. As a medical worker, none of them signed up for this. They are not soldiers, and they were not. They're not even trained in infectious diseases, and they have to deal with this now, and they need our help.
It's incredible work. And listen, the one thing you just said, oh, we've raised so much money, and it just shows how great our community is. I will tell you something I tell the same people who I'm like helping raise money for shows. It's not often about the shows, it's about the people that are doing the raising. And it just goes to show you how, one, passionate you are about this, how much empathy you have and driven. And it's really, you're just a wonderful individual and a wonderful representation of our community to do this work. And they're doing it for you because you're convincing them that it's worthwhile. So thank you for doing it on behalf of all of us in the community.
It's an honor, truly.
Good. All right. Well, good luck. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye-bye. Gideon Glick, everyone, just a wonderful, wonderful guy doing great things for us. Everyone has their way of dealing with this issue, challenging time that we've got, right? Everyone has a way of dealing with it. And what I love about everyone that's been on this podcast, no, it's not a podcast, everyone that's been on this live stream so far, and I know so many of you, you want to do something, and no matter what that is, I encourage you to do it, is to take action. It allows you to control something, right? We can't control much, as I said. So create something, make something, do a live stream, start a charity, do whatever it is, just like Gideon. But do something. It'll help yourself get through it, and also you'll probably help some people along the way, just like Gideon is helping all those folks. So I'm so thankful he was here tonight to inspire us all. Tomorrow night, who do we got? I think we have another performer tomorrow night. We have a Mean Girl tomorrow night. Kate Rockwell is here tomorrow night from Mean Girls, a really good friend terrific performer. She's always a lot of fun. She's gonna be a lot of fun tomorrow. Don't forget Broadway Feeds Bellevue. Let's have them be the charity of the day today. Throw a little coin their way and help Gideon and Celia and all those people who are helping those health workers out, and the restaurants. That's what's so great about that charity. We're helping the restaurants as well. Okay, something to make you smile. Something to make you smile. This is a special one. I actually blogged about it today, and it's such great timing because it's the beginning of a marketing campaign. That's what it is. The Broadway League has started to roll out its marketing campaign, letting people know that we will be back. And it's a wonderful spot, and it features Lin-Manuel Miranda, Broadway's biggest authority right now, telling us that we're coming back. It's a wonderful, smart piece of marketing because it's not a real big sales tool. It's just to tell us that we'll be back. And as a member of the Broadway League, I'm just so honored that to be a part of an organization that would churn out something like this. And special thank you to Lynn for doing it. It's a real classy spot. And what's exciting about them rolling it out now is that it just shows you can start, like, you'll listen and your heart will start to warm up. And you'll be like, yeah, there will be a time. We will be back. We will get through this. Lin-Manuel Miranda just said it. We're going to get through this. We are. So that's the producer's perspective, something to smile about. It's called Only Intermission. It's a radio commercial that is starting to play now. And it tells, it's Lin-Manuel telling us we're only at intermission, folks. There will be a second act. And as I said on my blog tonight, like most shows, the second act is usually better. So enjoy that. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. That's all, folks.